So, you guys have no idea how long this video has been cooking in the back of my brain. If you didn't know, I'm kind of a big fan of the first Despicable Me, with the Goyles and Vector. Its sequels went a bit wrong, but that first film is still a classic for a reason. It's heartwarming, it's an original idea, well it was, and honestly I was right there, hating the minions just like everybody else, but at the end of the day, it was a pretty good movie, it wasn't that bad. And after the third one was just yet another disappointment for me, I figured, why not take matters into my own hands? I'm just gonna write the fourth one myself. And you guys really seem to like the rewritten Rick and Morty Season 8, so let's see if I can scratch a sniff of that success. But I get the feeling that most of you haven't seen the second and third films, or at least it's been a long time since you've seen them, and you have no clue where everyone is at. Honestly, can't blame you. Basically, at the end of the third movie, Gru's brother Drew has sort of rejoined the family, but he hasn't completely left his life of evil. He's sort of in the middle. I actually do like that for his character. This pitch actually brings him back for the next installment, albeit in a minor role, so it is important for you to know where he is, and the fact that he's in the middle when it comes to being good or evil. Vector is also on Mars, which, spoilers for Moon, I guess, the little short film that played in front of Migration. Vector actually gets stuck on Mars at the end of the short. Meanwhile, Gru and his family are just sort of vibing, enjoying their new lives. Gru and Lucy are still part of the AVL, the Anti-Villain League introduced in the second film. So that's where our major players currently stand. Now, it's time to begin the hunt for the Shrink Ray. Our film opens with Vector on Mars. He's pretty much given up trying to get off the planet, and he's just accepted that he's just kinda stuck there. Suddenly, he gets wily coyoted by a Martian UFO. Because why not? We need more slapstick. We need to beat this guy up more. Nonetheless, this gives him an idea, and he hijacks one to fly it back to Earth. Meanwhile, the AVL is scanning the sea for a missing weapon, the Shrink Ray. So, if you remember from the first film, Gru brings the ray back with him from the moon after he shrinks it, but you never see him with it on Earth again. We see it in the ship in this shot, and I believe that's the last we see or hear of the thing. It just kind of vanishes after this. So in this new film, we will retcon the fact that Gru actually lost it flying over the ocean while the ship was burning up in the atmosphere. Shrinking the moon had worldwide ripple effects, and a lot of powerful organizations want to get their hands on it. The AVL wants to get their hands on it to prevent anyone else from getting it. Sort of like the Tesseract situation with S.H.I.E.L.D. in the Avengers. So the AVL is scanning the ocean floor when they suddenly hear a few faint beeps on the monitor. They finally found it. They send a recovery team in a submersible, and they successfully recover the ray. But when they get to the surface, they find their entire ship is destroyed. Waiting in the wings is a massive submarine. And they steal the Shrink Ray back. Boom. Dramatic title card. So Gru is out here living his best life. He's got a family, he's reconnected with his brother, and he's completely enveloped in his new life of heroism, fighting against the villainous world he was once a part of. He and Lucy are at a new meeting with the AVL, and they've just suffered a devastating loss. One of their ships was completely blown up looking for the Shrink Ray, and it looks like a new, unrecognized villain organization has gotten their hands on it. And they've decided to call in Gru for this mission since he's the one who first successfully used the Shrink Ray. He could help them get it back. But there's another problem. They ran some tests on the wreckage of their ship, and it seems the Shrink Ray had a strange effect on some of their equipment. They bring out, I don't know, this massive piece of debris, maybe some giant-ass steering wheel, way bigger than normal. It seems that being near deep-sea vents has caused the Shrink Ray to reverse polarity, permanently, and now it grows things instead. Yeah. This could be even more dangerous than a Shrink Ray, a reverse Shrink Ray, a growing ray. So Gru goes home while the AVL is making preparations to go on this mission. Across town, Vector crashes his spacecraft into his old hideout. It looks like it's been abandoned for a long time. Not even his dad has come by to check on him. Which is kind of sad for a moment, but he doesn't think anything of it. The next day, we see Gru on a solo mission to steal back the Shrink Ray. They've detected its energy signature, or quantum whatever, at a stronghold in the Arctic Sea, and he's arrived there alone. He's about to start his heist when he's interrupted by Vector rolling up to the front door, buzzing the button trying to get in. It's unclear at first why he's here, but regardless, he's not being let in either. He and Gru run into each other during the heist, and they're both trying to infiltrate the base, getting in each other's way. Hijinks ensue when Vector tries everything to jeopardize his mission, because he's still pissed at Gru for beating him in the first movie, essentially. This could be a really funny montage of them both trying to get in the building, but they keep sabotaging each other. Eventually, Gru does make his way into the main chamber, where this ray is being kept. He's followed by Vector, who has called security. Asshole. Suddenly, the leader of this new villain organization bursts into the room and grabs Gru by the neck. Super intimidating, just has him by the throat. Who is this leader? It's Vector's dad from the first movie. Yeah, the leader of the Bank of Evil. And he's formed this new villain organization. Vector's been trying to get into this stronghold because he wants his dad to bail him out again. After all, he is the son of a banker, and he thinks that everything's just going to go back to normal and his dad will give him whatever he wants. He's expecting his father to be overjoyed to see him, because after all, he almost just died on the moon. He takes one look at his son and tells him he's worthless. He doesn't care about him, and he never did. Vector in this moment is completely crushed and just gives up. It's a very human moment, and it's one that needs to happen for Vector's character. He needs to be completely broken. Suddenly, Gru escapes without the ray, and Vector hitches a ride with him, much to Gru's disappointment in trying to kick him off the ship. They get back to his house, and Gru tells him to just go away. Nobody wants him here. We need to be as harsh on Vector as possible in this script. It'll make sense later. He starts to walk away when the girls come out of the house, and Agnes, the youngest, most optimistic one, begs Gru to help Vector. He's like, no, he tried to kill you. I'm not letting that happen again. After some puppy dog eyes, Gru finally relents. He invites him inside, and it cuts to them in the lab. Gru immediately starts grilling Vector on his father and the defenses of this stronghold they just escaped. To Gru, Vector could be useful in terms of what he knows or in terms of bait, but that's it. He doesn't actually care about Vector, he just wants to use him. Vector leans on the table and suddenly it shrinks. Everyone is just kind of standing there, perplexed. Gru realizes Vector has some residual shrinking powers, since he was on the moon when it regrew. Sometimes, when Vector touches something, it shrinks for a brief period of time. Now, Gru sees some real value in him. Selfishly, of course, but it has the potential to change. So Gru wants this new growing ray, and Vector wants to prove himself evil to his father. So now, they have a mutual goal of wanting to steal this ray. Cue another montage of them begrudgingly teaming up, trying to re-infiltrate this facility. Hijinks ensue as they find it difficult to work together, and everything Vector touches shrinks, which keeps sabotaging the heist. After just a bunch of defeats, Vector meets Drew, Gru's brother. They do some low-grade criminal shenanigans together, and it reminds Vector of how good doing evil can feel. Vector isn't at all redeemed or anything at this point, but he's starting to sort of question who he wants to be. Hanging out with Drew has been more fun, though, and he's starting to really be pulled back to the villain side. They try to engage part of his father's growing army, and they put a huge target on their backs. Maybe they try and infiltrate the same facility, or maybe they mess around with part of this army. They escape back to the house, but they accidentally lead part of his army back with them. Suddenly, Gru's house is destroyed by this league and this army, and Vector feels partially responsible for this. The destroying of Gru's house has separated Vector and Agnes from the rest of the family. Vector does an actually good thing and takes care of her for a little bit, while they're separated from everybody else. He's getting used to his new shrinking powers that he has, and he uses them to defend Agnes from being captured. We have a real moment where Vector is feeling good, actually doing something good, and the stakes are high. Like, his dad is ready to kill this little girl just because she got in his way. It's here where Vector learns a lot about being good and how good it can feel. And at this point, there would normally be some cliche second act breakup between Gru and Vector, who were just starting to get along. Like, you destroyed my house, you put my kid in danger, and it's all sad because we know Vector is starting to change. But we're not going to do that. Instead, Vector leaves to take on his own father before Gru has a chance to even speak to him. Using his powers successfully for once has made him feel invincible, like a little kid, which he basically is. and he wants to take him on himself. Throughout the whole movie, we've seen that his father has been amassing this army of giant soldiers, and Vector lands on one of the airships that they're going to use to take over the world. He uses his powers to get in, and he actually gets his hands on the ray for a minute. But before he can leave with it, his father comes in the room and just absolutely kicks his ass. He also gets his ass kicked emotionally when his dad tells him that it's his fault. He almost got the only people who still care about him killed, and that he's once again worthless to him. This is his lowest point. He did all this work to prove himself to his father, and it's clear that he just doesn't care about him. Since Vector touched the growing ray, he loses his shrinking powers, and he's ejected from the ship by his father. Literally. He is literally thrown through the window and lands in the Arctic Ocean. Things can't get worse for him, and he's literally dying. This can be as dark or as lighthearted as we want it to be, but it should be a little more serious because he just got completely broken down. Dr. Nefario finds him and brings him back to the lab underneath the destroyed house. Gru is left alone with Vector, and they have this very touching heart-to-heart scene. Gru knows and remembers what it's like to be completely rejected by a parent, and it's actually what started him on his own path to becoming a villain. Gru doesn't want Vector to repeat his mistakes, and acting as a pseudo-father figure for him encourages him to get up and they can take on his dad together. But Vector is at his lowest point. His powers are gone and he has nothing. After some more heart-to-heart and opening up and understanding, Vector learns that he doesn't have to go through all of this alone. And that's why he was never able to succeed as a villain. He was always alone. Gru had the girls fall into his life, and they helped him through his stuff. We could even get a flashback scene where Gru started to relapse back into villainy, and the girls plus his wife pulled him back out of it, showing how, really, Gru has changed, but it's his family that caused him to change. Vector doesn't have a family, but maybe he could. Vector gets up, and for once, he doesn't have his dad to bail him out of a bad situation. So he picks himself up, goes back to his old hideout for some of his self-made tech, and he teams up with Gru and his family to take on his own father. A climactic final battle ensues, and in the end, Vector's squid launcher from the first movie is the only thing that's able to defeat his father. Vector has completely turned to the good side, and it's almost become like sort of a Gru-Vector team-up movie. He's repeated Gru's arc from the first movie. Then we can have a little dance party or whatever, it's Illumination, fine. Everybody makes up, fade to black, roll credits. So that was a lot that I just threw at you. Let me explain some of my rationale for the story beats. First, I wanted to bring back a lot of the really good elements from the first movie. You have the awesome MacGuffin device that was the shrink ray, Vector's intimidating father leading the bank of evil, and a look into this wider world of villainy. Make the villains actually threatening again. I also really loved Gru's original character arc of having the girls melt his cold, cold heart, and I think it's the main reason why the emotional core of the first installment is so strong. We don't really see the shrink ray since the ending of the first movie, so I wanted this one to be kickstarted with this badass scene where Vector's dad steals it back. Now technically, if Minion Mayhem is considered canon, then the shrink ray might just be a decoration at Gru's house, but that's kinda boring. I think the retcon of it falling into the ocean could work. My base idea has a lot of potential to be fleshed out further. You'll notice I don't have a lot of action scenes planned out. There's a lot of stuff you can put in the second act that wouldn't inflate it too much. Some more Gru, Vector, shenanigans, and I didn't even have anything for the minions to do. With the addition of a few more well-paced scenes in the middle, these concepts can be expanded upon. Maybe the minions can be part of the original heist where Gru and Vector met. Maybe Vector can lead them in the attack on the airship. Or maybe they could just be hanging out with Drew in some kind of side adventure. After all, the third movie did sort of end with them teaming up. Ultimately, I'm most confident in the emotional core that I've written for this film. It brings Vector's redemption arc full circle with him completing Gru's journey from the first movie. And Gru cements his full character change by turning another villain to the good side. Vector gets a positive father figure, and with the scene where he's protecting Agnes, the girls get something to do in the movie as well. And that's why I think this idea could really work. That was my pitch for a possible Despicable Me 4 or 5, depending on when this trailer for the fourth movie comes out. I usually have bad timing with these things. Could be coming out relatively soon, 4 or 5 depending on what the fourth movie actually does. Let me know what you guys think of this idea. Does it work? Do you think it could be improved upon? I think it's pretty strong, but definitely there's some stuff you can put in the second act that would make it even stronger. And of course, drop your own ideas in the comments. I love to read the comments. You guys have come up with some really good Rick and Morty Season 8 ideas, and I think we could have a lot of fun with this one too. So drop your ideas down below. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.